Our protagonist, Il-han, notices that there are no people on campus. Buses are also not coming, so he walks back home. He goes back home and notices that his parents are also missing. He also realized that time didn't change at all when he left school. The sun hasn't moved either. Time has completely stopped. Just then, a girl appears and claims that time has stopped, except for Il-han. Il-han calls her an intruder, and the girl shows that she is obviously an angel. She introduces herself as Lita. She came to inform Il-han that he had been left behind. Il-han gets confused, but he does remember always being forgotten and left behind as a child. He cries his eyes out. Lita claims that all humans were sent to another dimension except for him, because there will be a cataclysm that will fall on Earth. Earth is leveling up to the next stage, and mana will be released. An Arctic record will also come to Earth, and humans can sense it as status. Once mana is released, monsters will appear on Earth. Humanity will be wiped out. That's why God stopped time on Earth and sent the humans to another world to train and adapt mana. Lita is proud of how God is merciful, but Il-han says otherwise. Lita thinks there might be a mistake. Il-han's stealth skill was able to evade God's attention. Il-han calls God stupid and whines to go to the other world. Lita assures him that God gave him a bonus instead. Lita tells him to wait 10 years and she'll take care of him. Il-han wonders what to do for 10 years, and Lita suggests training his body to be physically strong. Il-han throws tantrums, and his lonely life on Earth begins. 5 years easily passed by, and Il-han has been working hard at the gym, while others are building up their mana and powers to fight monsters. Lita asks if Il-han is not bored doing the same thing, but Il-han doesn't have a choice. Lita can notice Il-han's amazing improvement and patience. Lita is the only person Il-han can talk to. She always prepares meals for him. Il-han then decides to learn martial arts through the internet, but he wonders how electricity and internet servers are still running. Later, Il-han starts practicing spear arts, and Lita reminds him that there are 5 years left. And just like that, 4 years passed by. Lita then suggests sparring with her. Il-han talks like he is worried about hitting her, but he throws a punch full of grudges. However, Lita is a fighter. The promised 10 years passed by, and Lita is now confident that Il-han can murder a low-level monster easily. Lita tells him that he did a great job. Il-han wonders if they'll meet again. He goes outside and waits for the other humans to return to Earth. However, nothing happens, and even Lita is confused. No one is coming back. Il-han gets mad, and Lita claims there must be a mistake. Il-han then throws tantrums again. However, more years passed, but the people did not return, and Il-han continued training. He stopped counting after 50 years. He claims that he has already forgotten his mother's face. Lita only apologizes as Il-han complains about the time. He gets bored of martial arts, and Lita worries. She doesn't want Il-han to fall into despair. Il-han claims that he'll also read books. Lita feels assured and claims that it is a good idea. Il-han has read all kinds of books and embarked on a journey around the world. He visited several countries, learned languages, and read all the books in the world. A very long time went by, and he finished reading the last book on Earth. Lita is amazed that Il-han didn't fall into despair after several hundred years. Lita then earnestly prays to God to return the humans to Earth before Il-han falls into despair. Il-han now can hunt wild animals on his own. He also started learning butchery and blacksmithing. Il-han wonders if he can prevent the monsters from appearing if he murders all animals. Lita claims he must murder what she approves of, or the equilibrium of the world will be destroyed. She also almost slips out the monster's true identity, and Il-han almost finds it out. Il-han continues butchering, and Lita is amazed at how Il-han easily picks up new skills. She can't believe he perseveres for hundreds of years. She finds Il-han incredible. After some time, Il-han tries his butchering skills on a sperm whale. Lita gets mad because they are an endangered species. 300 years passed by, and he finally mastered butchering. He takes blacksmithing next, but his hands are no good at all. He keeps on failing until he can make a shabby sword after 5 years. Lita grabs it and claims that it is too dull. She takes it as a commemorative item. She flies away with it and hugs it with a smile. Il-han then continues making weapons in many forms and kinds. After hundreds of years, he created the perfect spear. Even Lita is amazed at its quality, but she claims that there will be better magic stones that will appear. Il-han claims that he can just make a new one. Lita is fascinated by him. After that, Il-han starts picking up martial arts again. Lita can't believe how Ilhan experienced a lot of progress in a single body, but she knows that he will soon reach his limit. She hopes Ilhan can experience something new like opposite-sex relationships. Lita blushes at that thought. She beats up an unlucky bunny while reminding herself that she is an angel, and she can offer herself if it is to help Ilhan as God's order. Ilhan calls her, and she feels awkward getting near him. Ilhan then notices something and Lita panics. Ilhan points out that the sword is glowing. It flies upward and Lita panics seeing the first sword of Ilhan go away. Just then, Ilhan notices that he is now wearing the clothes he had before the humans disappeared. Lita grabs the sword, and she gets blocked out from Earth. The great cataclysm has arrived. Lita gets sad at the thought that she can't even properly say her goodbyes. She hugs Ilhan's sword and claims she fell in love with him. She regrets not getting a kiss. Ilhan is also sad that they are parting ways. He wonders if they can meet again if he becomes a high-ranking being. Humanity comes back to Earth and Ilhan checks his status. He hears that the others only spent 10 years. He also notices how the others can't sense him. He then discovers his stealth skill at max level. What is worse is that he can't turn it off. He is really fated to be alone. He goes home and sees his mom, Yisul. He hugs her, and the sun sets for the first time in 1,000 years. He is glad to see dinner being cooked and his father, Yonhan, reading the newspaper. The couple talks about the areas they were transported to. They ask Ilhan where he was sent to. He panics, knowing that he got left behind. He claims he was sent to a place without a name. His parents start talking about mana and complain that the younger ones should be the only ones sent to the other world. Ilhan accidentally slips out that it will destroy the balance. He then claims that it was just his theory. Yisul then urges Ilhan to hunt monsters for riches, and Yonhan agrees. Ilhan then confesses that he can't use mana. Yisul then tells him to just focus on his studies, and Yonhan blames their genes. Still, he is happy to have his parents back. After dinner, he discovers his spear in his room. It should have been gone when the world returned to normal. He tests it out and checks its stats. He is not sure if 800 watts is a lot or not. He then browses the internet to gain information about the other world. One can gain a class if he reaches level 10, and a second class at level 50. The third advancement is also possible at level 100. He then suddenly misses Lita. Suddenly, a voice claims that Lita will be happy to hear that. Ilhan gets surprised, and someone appears, claiming to help Ilhan gain mana. Ilhan then discovers a small angel who introduces herself as Eartha. Ilhan is shocked to encounter another angel. Mana is hard to manage. That's why God sent Eartha to help Ilhan. Ilhan claims that he doesn't help. Eartha claims there is someone out there who pleaded with God to help Ilhan. Ilhan realizes that it was his beloved Lita. He then asks why Lita didn't come. Eartha claims that the higher-ups are worried that an angel and a human are becoming too close. Eartha then claims that Lita's reports are different from what she can see. Ilhan can easily destroy a low-rank monster with his fist. She remembers Lita crying that Ilhan is still helpless after 1,000 years. Eartha realizes that love can change a person. She then tells Ilhan that she will support him with mana usage. She claims that her presence around Ilhan will make him accustomed to mana. Because he already spent time with Lita for 1,000 years, he can get mana by the next year. Ilhan then complains that he is monitored 24/7 and can't watch his treasures. Eartha claims that she doesn't care what a lower being like Ilhan does. Ilhan shouts that he misses Lita but tells him to give up. The next day, Ilhan goes to school and encounters patrolling soldiers. He attends class, but he is still invisible. Eartha claims that his stealth skill is far superior to others. Ilhan uses his skill to eavesdrop on others to gain information. He hears about the Empress, who is famous in another world. He also hears about dungeons, and Eartha explains that it is a trap that lures the monster and traps them inside. Humans can easily go in and out of it, though. Ilhan then suggests keeping the monsters in there forever. However, the dungeons cease to exist after some time. Plus, there are monsters too powerful to get trapped, monsters that are strong enough to break barriers and create their own dungeons. Eartha then tells Ilhan that hunting monsters can train your mana. The monsters right now are still weak, but will get stronger after some time. Ilhan worries that he can't defeat one who is mana-less. However, Eartha points out his good physique and claims that Ilhan can defeat monsters up to level 25. Eartha senses something and claims that Ilhan can test it now. Just then, giant insects appeared outside. Everyone panics when they see monsters and dying people outside. Ilhan breaks a chair's leg and swings it around. Eartha is impressed by his craftsmanship, which is totally different from what Lita reported. Ilhan prepares 3 more and wonders if he can hide his identity. The insects wreak havoc outside, and a masked Ilhan comes and immediately murders one monster. He gains level and stat points, especially mana. More insects come, and he easily destroys them. Flying insects come and completely obliterate them. A mosquito attacks him, but it can't penetrate Ilhan's body. Eartha realizes that Ilhan's body has surpassed the limits of a human. Just then, he gets surrounded by insects, but he is still able to wipe them out. A bolt of lightning appears, murdering the rest of the monsters, and a masked woman appears. He gets fascinated, but Eartha tells him that there are still monsters. The masked woman easily disintegrates the insects with her lightning, while Ilhan continues slashing them. The army arrives, but they are shocked to see that the monsters are now dead. They discover Ilhan dismembering the monsters for mana stones. He pulls out one and just discovers the crowd watching him. The Empress approaches him and asks Ilhan to help her dismember the monsters. He asks for the dividend, and the Empress offers 40% to Ilhan. The crowd recognizes her as the Empress based on her lightning. The people then talk about Ilhan shooting beams, using a lightsaber, and using an axe. He is sad that he is misunderstood. He continues butchering and gives the Empress her share. He tries to go his way, but soldiers menacingly approach him. However, the Empress interrupts them, and Ilhan loads up his loot. He suddenly becomes invisible to others, and people misunderstand him as a fast person like Usain Bolt. He cries about being unnoticed. Eartha tells him not to worry about it. That night in a park, Ilhan checks his loot and wonders if they can make equipment with it. Eartha suggests getting an expert's help, but Ilhan proudly presents himself as the truest master on Earth. Eartha suddenly feels mad at Lita. She mentions mana craft, and Ilhan gets excited and suddenly grabs Eartha. Eartha got embarrassed, but she still explained how mana craft works. Ilhan gets excited again, and Eartha gets mad. She plans to go back to heaven to meet Lita. She can't tell Ilhan that she will scold Lita for not looking after her man properly. She explains that you need to create the gear near the mana stone. Afterward, powder the mana stone and sprinkle it on the equipment like salt, and you will get powerful gear. Eartha claims it would be hard, but Ilhan claims that he won't know unless he tries it. Eartha explains further that you can gear with different abilities and effects. Ilhan started making gears, and he created arm and knee guards. He then applies the grounded mana stone, and he imagines the appearance of the gear he wants. Eartha notices that Ilhan's mana stone is not enough, so she helps him by giving her mana. Ilhan succeeded, and he successfully added a scythe to his arm guard. It is reported in the news that the government is looking for the 2 masked people who murdered the recent monsters. Ilhan is off to school, but his mother Yisul is worried for his safety. However, Yisul has a skill that allows her to monitor her son's movement around the house. Ilhan feels uncomfortable with it, and he tells her that he will run if he sees a monster. On the way to school, Eartha reminds him that the government made a unit of ability users. However, Ilhan is uninterested, though he wants to see the Empress again. Eartha asks if he likes her, but Ilhan claims he does not. She teases Ilhan that she might not be sterile. Ilhan shouts in frustration, but no one notices him because of his max-leveled stealth. Ilhan thought of a reason later. Eartha concludes that Ilhan lost interest in human women. Changing topics, Ilhan is interested in the Empress' impressive mana usage. However, Eartha thinks Ilhan is more impressive for processing monster materials without mana. Just then, Eartha senses a nearby pack of wolves led by a high-leveled wolf. Ilhan complains that things are moving too fast, and Eartha even notices something is wrong since yesterday's event. Ilhan gets mad at her for being calm, and Eartha menacingly claims that she won't show her worries in front of a lower being. Ilhan suddenly misses Leta. Eartha then confesses that Earth is not normal right now, and she asks for Ilhan's help. She explains that when God sent humans to the other world and left the animals on Earth, an unknown error distorted the flow of time on Earth. 10 years on the other world became 1,000 years on Earth. Even though the Earth has reset, the monsters underwent a dramatic change. In conclusion, the monsters on Earth right now are stronger than the ones in other worlds. The heavens are moving to restore the balance. Until then, they need Ilhan's help to exterminate the monsters. Ilhan brings out his spear and attacks the wolves. The wolves attack, but Ilhan easily murders them. Just then, citizens are being attacked by more wolves. Ilhan jumps into action and destroys the wolves. The crowd recognizes him as the Sun-Gain Bolt from the recent incident. Hertha congratulates Ilhan for having fans, but he claims that he doesn't care about them. He reaches level 10 and is asked by the system to choose a class. Just then, a wolf instructed the others to attack Ilhan. Ilhan finds it fascinating that they are smart. He murders the wolves because he keeps getting experience points. Just then, a wolf takes a citizen hostage. However, Ilhan claims it doesn't change anything now. Onlookers check out what will be Ilhan's move. Ilhan throws his spear and obliterates the wolf. Hertha now worries that Ilhan threw out his weapon. However, Ilhan uses his fist to murder the wolves and shows the results of his training with the Queen of Combat. Watching Ilhan, Hertha thinks Lita raised a monster. However, she notices that his moves are not light as teaching. Ilhan destroys the rest of the wolves, and a gun is suddenly pointed at his head. Ilhan gets surrounded by the army, but the citizens condemn them. The female lieutenant is surprised that Ilhan has already defeated the monsters. She approaches Ilhan, apologizes, and talks about how they want to recruit him. However, Ilhan has already disappeared from their sight, although he is still around butchering the monsters. The lieutenant discovers him, and he immediately declines whatever she wants to say. He declines to join them because he feels like things will get annoying for him. Hertha tells him to work alone. Ilhan realizes that taking all the corpses alone is too much for him, so he asks the army if he can sell the materials to them. The lieutenant agrees, but Ilhan won't include the mana stones. The lieutenant films Ilhan butchering the monsters and sends the video to someone. Her higher-up orders her to bring Ilhan to them, even if it means seducing him. The lieutenant thinks it is impossible, and Ilhan asks them to pay him in cash. Ilhan wonders if the mana stone is tasty, but Hertha strongly warns him not to eat it. Ilhan is then given cash, and the female lieutenant tries to seduce him, but Ilhan ignores her. He distracts them with a device, and he disappears from their sight. Ilhan then walks away. Ilhan checks the classes he can choose. Hertha recommends being a Lancer or Grappler because of Ilhan's skill set. Ilhan thinks being a Lancer is good because he likes using weapons and creating them. Suddenly, a new choice appears, and Ilhan shouts that it is the Blurred Lancer. Hertha claims that it is a unique class, and he must choose it no matter what. Ilhan then chooses it, and his attack increases when attacking in stealth mode. However, Ilhan realized something. Blood and blurred are spelled the same way in Korean. Hertha also just realized it. Just then, Ilhan's body and stats changed, except for his title with passive stealth. A person with a first class will take a long time to level up. However, Ilhan is not normal. Ilhan runs again to hunt for monsters as Heaven's proxy and wonders if the Empress is also one. Hertha just tells Ilhan to work harder so he can get better rewards than the other proxies. Just then, he discovers a massive brown bear and brings out his spear. He then confronts the bear. Ilhan equips his mask and activates his stealth. He jumps over the bear and attacks its head. However, one strike was not enough to defeat the bear. He then tells the army and citizens to run away. The bear gets distracted by the fleeing people. Ilhan moves to attack the bear again. The bear fights back, and it loses Ilhan. Hertha tells him to activate his stealth back. Ilhan wonders if his current weapon is enough. His body is the same as what he built up for the last 1,000 years. He remembers how Lita compliments him for cutting a strand of her hair when he attacked. He focuses on one point and attacks the bear on its head. The bear stops moving and Ilhan manages to bring it down. The bear's Gigantify skill turns off and Ilhan starts butchering it. Just then a car arrives, and Hertha sees that they are ability users. The ability users are surprised to see that the monster is already defeated. They recognize Ilhan by his nickname. One of them doubts Ilhan's ability to murder the monster alone, but the others are amazed at him. However, Ilhan hates small talk and ignores it. Yoo-jun tries to shake hands, but Ilhan ignores him. He then claims to be stronger than anyone else, including Ilhan. Ilhan then scolds him for looking like a rival. He points out that Yoo-jun should focus on becoming the best version of himself. However, his words are only in his thoughts. A few moments later, a soldier approaches him and discusses something. Ilhan is advised to download an app that can show where the monsters are appearing. He leaves, and another soldier asks if it is fine not to recruit Ilhan. The lieutenant claims it is better not to force or offend Ilhan. Meanwhile, Hertha commends the lieutenant's wits. She thinks Ilhan will wipe them out if he is forced. The lieutenant understood what was best to do. Just then, monsters appear. Ilhan moves and destroys 3 nearby monsters, but he only gains 1 level. Eartha claims that his unique class requires more experience. At least Ilhan has a lot of money now and plans to buy property. However, it is not smart to do it because they will discover him. Eartha offers to erase the official's memories this time, and Ilhan thanks him. The next day, a system appears announcing that humans can go back to the otherworld to receive proper compensation for Earth's error. Ilhan is unhappy that he'll be alone again. Later, Eartha explains that it is a safer way for others to gain experience. Ilhan is mad that he is left out again. He feels depressed that he can't go to the other world like the others. Eartha tells him it will be possible if he becomes a greater being. He can go to the other world and the heavens. Ilhan then realizes that he can see Lida again. Eartha realizes that she is currently acting as their messenger of love. She suddenly feels sour. She then tells Ilhan to get stronger, but it might take millennia. He goes out of his room, and the whole family hears the news about martial law being declared in Korea. Just then, Ilhan suggests his parents go to the other world. His father, Yonghan, claims it is pointless because he can't get stronger there despite his efforts. Ilhan claims that the monsters are getting stronger on Earth and that the other world is safer. Yonghan agrees now and wishes Ilhan to get stronger. He teleports away. Ilhan starts to eat, and Yisuo claims she knows that Ilhan is the masked person. Ilhan asks how she knows, and Yisuo claims that she just knew. Ilhan is surprised by his mother's skill. She then warns Ilhan to be careful, not with monsters but with humans. She also left the dishes to Ilhan. Eartha also leaves to report to the heavens. Later, Ilhan goes to a storage unit he recently bought to use as his workshop. He checks his current materials and realizes that it will take a long time to process them. Eartha arrives and claims it will be easier with magic. Ilhan turns and gets surprised to see Eartha in human size. She then asks for his hand so she can give him rewards. A system appears and announces that he is the most successful among agents. Ilhan obtains the eternal flame. Eartha tells him to look at his furnace. The eternal flame always burns, and it is a precious flame from the heavens. Ilhan is happy to receive it. Eartha claims that's what she asked Lida. Ilhan is happy, while Eartha curses the long-distance couple. Ilhan is also given a quest since he couldn't go to the other world. He is tasked with creating dungeons on Earth. He is confused about why they chose him. He then realizes that he is being used for their purposes. He bursts out with his complaints. Eartha explains that the monsters on Earth somehow became resistant to God's power. Ilhan is the only person on Earth who can build a dungeon. Ilhan is shocked that Eartha is praising him and finds her suspicious. Eartha promises that there will be rewards. She further explains that they will have nowhere to go and that humanity will suffer as a result. Eartha brings out the materials that Ilhan can use. Ilhan is also given tools. He is happy to receive it, but Eartha corrected him by saying that they are only letting him borrow the tools. Ilhan now wonders how he can make dungeons. Eartha brings out a blueprint. Ilhan needs to create a magic tool that attracts the monsters and transforms them to surround the area and become a dungeon. Ilhan knows that this task is going to be hard, but he is excited about the rewards he will receive. Eartha assures Ilhan that he will get the best rewards. Ilhan then starts crafting, and Eartha hopes she didn't make a mistake. She wonders what happens if Ilhan chooses to become a blacksmith instead of a lancer. Ilhan might be able to create weapons that can challenge the power of the gods. Ilhan managed to create the basic shape, and he hopes he won't mess up the next step. He starts with full concentration, and Eartha realizes that this is how Lida felt with Ilhan during the past millennia. She smiles at Ilhan, but later thinks there's nothing to it. Just then, Ilhan claims that it is now complete. Eartha is surprised. Ilhan reaches the maximum level of blacksmithing and gains the title of Creator of Legends. Ilhan is mad that he is left out again. He feels depressed that he can't go to the other world like the others. Eartha tells him it will be possible if he becomes a greater being. He can go to the other world and the heavens. Ilhan then realizes that he can see Lida again. Eartha realizes that she is currently acting as their messenger of love. She suddenly feels sour. She then tells Ilhan to get stronger, but it might take a millennium. He goes out of his room, and the whole family hears the news about martial law being declared in Korea. Just then, Ilhan suggests his parents go to the other world. His father, Yonghan, claims it is pointless because he can't get stronger there despite his efforts. Ilhan claims that the monsters are getting stronger on Earth and that the other world is safer. Yonhan agrees now and wishes Ilhan to get stronger. He teleports away. Ilhan starts to eat, and Yisuo claims she knows that Ilhan is the masked person. Ilhan asks how she knows, and Yisuo claims that she just knew. Ilhan is surprised by his mother's skill. She then warns Ilhan to be careful, not with monsters but with humans. She also left the dishes to Ilhan. Eartha also leaves to report to the heavens. Later, Ilhan goes to a storage unit he recently bought to use as his workshop. He checks his current materials and realizes that it will take a long time to process them. Eartha arrives and claims it will be easier with magic. Ilhan turns and gets surprised to see Eartha in human size. She then asks for his hand so she can give him rewards. A system appears and announces that he is the most successful among agents. Ilhan obtains the eternal flame. Eartha tells him to look at his furnace. The eternal flame always burns, and it is a precious flame from the heavens. Ilhan is happy to receive it. Eartha claims that's what she asked Lita. Ilhan is happy, while Eartha curses the long-distance couple. Ilhan is also given a quest since he couldn't go to the other world. He is tasked with creating dungeons on Earth. He is confused about why they chose him. He then realizes that he is being used for their purposes. He bursts out with his complaints. Eartha explains that the monsters on Earth somehow became resistant to God's power. Ilhan is the only person on Earth who can build a dungeon. Ilhan is shocked that Eartha is praising him and finds her suspicious. Eartha promises that there will be rewards. She further explains that they will have nowhere to go, and that humanity will suffer as a result. Eartha brings out the materials that Ilhan can use. Ilhan is also given tools. He is happy to receive it, but Eartha corrected him by saying that they are only letting him borrow the tools. Ilhan now wonders how he can make dungeons. Eartha brings out a blueprint. Ilhan needs to create a magic tool that attracts the monsters and transforms them to surround the area and become a dungeon. Ilhan knows that this task is going to be hard, but he is excited about the rewards he will receive. Eartha assures Ilhan that he will get the best rewards. Ilhan then starts crafting, and Eartha hopes she didn't make a mistake. She wonders what happens if Ilhan chooses to become a blacksmith instead of a lancer. Ilhan might be able to create weapons that can challenge the power of the gods. Ilhan managed to create the basic shape, and he hopes he won't mess up the next step. He starts with full concentration, and Eartha realizes that this is how Lita felt with Ilhan during the past millennia. She smiles at Ilhan, but later thinks there's nothing to it. Just then, Ilhan claims that it is now complete. Eartha is surprised. Ilhan reaches the maximum level of blacksmithing and gains the title of Creator of Legends. Eartha is surprised that Ilhan is already done with his task. She didn't even notice that 5 hours had passed. Ilhan throws it at her, and Eartha sees that the basic dungeon is done. She is surprised that a human can create it perfectly. She praises him, and she will now call her fellow angels for the mana craft. However, Lita is not among them. Lita then calls over 3 angels. Ilhan can't believe he is seeing these beautiful entities in front of them. Eartha then tells Ilhan to focus on having the will to complete the dungeon. The angels touch Ilhan, and they start sharing mana. Ilhan gets surprised by the intense pressure. He focuses on mana crafting the dungeon. The white-haired angel is surprised that a human can stand up to them. The black-haired angel claims his pride is hurt seeing Ilhan is doing well. The green-haired angel finds Ilhan interesting. A bright light shines, and the dungeon is complete. The angels are surprised that Ilhan succeeded on his first try, and the dungeon also has alpha and beta options. Ilhan is confused, and Eartha explains that those are additional options that appear randomly. It is rare to see them on the first try. The angels praise Ilhan. Ilhan then joins them in setting up the dungeon. They go to the nearby mountain, and Eartha throws the dungeon core. Ilhan is confused that it just disappeared. Just then, the ground shook, and monsters in the vicinity were moving in the same direction. Ilhan pities the monsters that they are marching toward their destruction. God has left Earth alone for thousands of years. Good thing Lita was beside Ilhan. Ilhan wants to get stronger for his own freedom. The next day, it is reported that dungeons have appeared in various parts of the world, attracting monsters. Ilhan wonders how his parents are doing. Eartha praises Ilhan's hard work. Ilhan claims he needs to make more and wonders why the angels have gone back already. Eartha claims that the angels need to recharge their mana. Ilhan then mentions that there are other angels like Lita. Eartha tells him that Leda is busy working because of Ilhan and won't be able to see him for the time being. Later, Ilhan goes back to his workshop and Eartha notices the materials he has. She then offers to reward Ilhan for his hard work. She dried and sterilized the monster's leathers in an instant. Ilhan is happy that he can now make boots and gloves. After some time, he successfully created a set of both leather gloves and boots. Next is armor made from bear leather. Eartha smiles as she watches Ilhan enjoy crafting. A day passed by, and Ilhan was successful in creating the bear armor. However, Ilhan strengthens it further using the monster bones and gains armor with better quality. There is even an additional function that makes spikes pop out like a porcupine. Eartha remembers the hidden mantis blade and asks why Ilhan is making these kinds of things. Ilhan claims that it is every man's dream. Eartha calls him nonsense. They notice that there are monster bones left, and Ilhan makes a butchering knife out of them. He even used a skull to make a mask. Ilhan equips everything, and Eartha is shocked at how the mask has made Ilhan's presence weaker than ever. Just then, they hear a loud explosion. A monster appeared, and Eartha can't believe that it hasn't been trapped in the dungeon yet. Ilhan hopes it is not stronger than the brown bear, or he doesn't have a choice but to create a new armor. He then brings out his spear and fixes it. It suddenly gained more attack power after a little fix, and Ilhan asks to have the heavenly tools for himself, which Eartha declines. Ilhan and Eartha arrive at the scene and discover a huge leopard. The military can't do anything against the monster. Ilhan also notices awakened ones. They are far too weak, and others are in the other world. Ilhan wears his mask and runs forward. Eartha warns him that the leopard is stronger than the bear. A tank shoots at the leopard, but the attack is ineffective. The leopard gets mad and grabs the tank, trying to eat it. Ilhan appears and attacks the leopard's eye. He successfully landed a critical hit. People recognize him again, and they are glad that he didn't go to the other world. The leopard throws away the tank, and Ilhan follows it. He slices the tank open and saves the two soldiers inside. They get to the ground, and the soldiers tell Ilhan that they are now his fans. Ilhan senses something and tells the two to run away as the leopard appears in front of them. Eartha warns Ilhan that the leopard has noticed him. Ilhan then tells her not to worry. The military and other awakened people focus their attacks on the leopard while it is distracted. Just then, a bolt of lightning strikes the leopard's wounded eye. A helicopter arrives, and a beautiful woman appears. They can't believe that the Empress has been such a beauty all this time. The leopard attacks Ilhan, but he manages to dodge by jumping. The leopard uses this chance to attack Ilhan while in midair. The onlookers are worried that he might die. However, they see Ilhan curled up like a porcupine. Ilhan feels proud, but Eartha tells him that he looks awful. She then uses Leda as a basis, and Ilhan doesn't want to show it to Leda. The monster flails around and charges toward a building for a headbutt. However, Ilhan was able to get out in time. Ilhan steps on the leopard using his spiked boots and deals a critical hit with his spear. He keeps dealing with critical hits, and the others also attack the leopard's legs. Eartha tells him to hurry for the murder because the leopard is evolving into Class 3. Tentacles appear from the leopard's wounded eye, and Eartha claims that it is mutating. Just then, a lightning strike appears, and Ilhan notices the Empress. Ilhan keeps slicing the tentacles, but they keep on regenerating. The Empress then offers to buff Ilhan. Ilhan agrees, and the Empress jumps off the helicopter. Ilhan gets surprised as the Empress lands in front of him. She tells him that her life is in Ilhan's hands now and starts buffing him up. Ilhan's stats increase, and he also gains a lightning buff. Eartha is surprised by the Empress' abilities. Ilhan is not pumped up and attacks the leopard. The Empress suggests murdering it faster, or the military will fire off missiles. Ilhan agrees because his workshop is nearby. He deals a critical and lightning hit. The leopard gets destroyed, and Ilhan gains experience points and levels up. Eartha commends the relieved Ilhan. The Empress asks if it is dead, and Ilhan asks if she didn't gain experience points. However, she is not at the party with him. Ilhan didn't know that there was such a system. Eartha claims that a lonely person shouldn't know about parties. The buff wears off, and the leopard falls. Eartha commends Ilhan again, and the onlookers praise him. However, Eartha notices how unhappy Ilhan is. He claims that the leather is now unusable. Later, Ilhan offers to dismantle the carcass and asks the Empress how to divide it. Then she suggests the division, and Ilhan's mood lightens. He jumps on the carcass and gets a mana stone. The Empress agrees that it will be enough as his dividend. The others complain, and Eartha feels like an idiot for thinking that others are like Ilhan. Ilhan then remembers his mother's words about solving things with his fists. He offers to give up on the Mana Stone if they defeat him. The others back off and tell Ilhan to get the Mana Stone for himself. The Empress asks for the dismantling of her dividend, and she will share some with Ilhan as payment. Later, the Empress calls for a car to carry the materials, and Ilhan realizes that she is rich. The others also ask for Ilhan's help, but he acts frustrated, making them back off. He offers to help, but with a huge payment. They complain but later agree on Ilhan's terms. Later, everyone fights over the loot, and Ilhan tries to leave. The Empress calls him out and praises his stealth skill. She wants to form a party with him, but Ilhan declines. She then tells him that she will stay on Earth because she is not weak enough to go back and train for the other world. She gives him her business card and leaves. Ilhan finds out that she is Kang Myray and likes that she is not persistent. Ilhan and Eartha leave as something moves in the leopard's carcass. Later, Ilhan creates more traps of destruction, and Eartha senses a tertiary class forming on Earth. She wonders what is happening, and Ilhan suggests asking God. She complains about how relaxed Ilhan is when the Earth is in actual danger now. The evolution of the monsters is faster than expected, and the balance is tilting. Ilhan claims that worrying won't change anything. He wonders how the other countries are doing. Eartha claims that only in Korea are the monsters evolving faster. Ilhan then concludes that the traps are the cause. Eartha gets surprised and agrees that it could be the trigger. She explains that in other worlds, the monsters only evolve in the dungeons through crossbreeding. If they are not trapped in the dungeon, the monsters evolve by eating humans outside, while the trapped ones get stunted growth. Ilhan then realizes how great he is at creating traps. He then decides to hurry and create more. Eartha comments on how Ilhan enjoys crafting. Ilhan enjoys gaining more experience. Eartha remembers that Ilhan lived alone for 1,000 years and is hungry for new experiences. She then realizes she is empathizing with the lower being. However, she doesn't hate the feeling. She then tells Ilhan to grow stronger and gain more experience. He affirms that he will get stronger. That night, the angels came back to complete more traps and later left to create dungeons. Ilhan hopes that the traps are helpful, and Eartha tells him not to worry too much. Ilhan thanks her, and Eartha feels puzzled. Ilhan then goes back to sleep. That night, Ilhan notices something. He asks Eartha if he bulked up. Eartha tells him that it is normal since he levels up. He also claims that he got more handsome, and Eartha claims that his face is irrelevant to her. Ilhan continues flexing, and Eartha gets mad because he is blocking the TV. She drives him off and looks at Ilhan again. She claims that Ilhan can't compete with higher beings. She whispers that Ilhan's greatness is on the inside. She then realizes that she is praising his personality. Lita appears in her mind, agreeing that Ilhan is awesome. Eartha screams as Ilhan dreams of Lita. The next morning, Ilhan wakes up and discovers that his rest skill is at max level. Eartha gets surprised and claims that it is an SSS rank skill. She asks how he achieved it, and Ilhan claims that he researched how to sleep comfortably in the last millennium. Eartha can't believe him and gets envious and amazed. She claims it is only for resting well. Ilhan realizes that there must be something more to it. Eartha then puts up her glasses and starts to explain skill evolution. It is an achievement that offers new paths to the user. In simpler terms, you get overpowered after the skill evolution. Ilhan currently has taijutsu, spear arts, rest, and stealth that are ready to evolve. It will be hard for Ilhan to evolve his taijutsu and spear arts because the requirements are hard to acquire. Eartha then tells Ilhan to check the rest skill. He sees the requirements for evolution and complains about how hard it is to acquire them. However, Eartha claims that they are the easiest for now. She then tells him to check spear arts, and Ilhan gets speechless upon seeing the requirements. Ilhan gets mad and goes back to bed. Eartha worries that Ilhan's leveling speed is slower and he doesn't have mana yet. Even if he gets his overpowered martial arts, other humans will surpass him sooner. If he learns mana, he will become someone who will rule over the Akashic records. Eartha wonders what kind of revolution Ilhan will cause when he gets stronger. She pauses and decides to stop thinking about it for now, or it will become dangerous soon. Later, Ilhan asks where to get the requirements. Eartha tells him that those monsters will appear on Earth once mana is activated. The news on TV then reports that the leopard's body disappeared along with the people who were sharing the loot. A dungeon might have swallowed them, however, Ilhan knows that there is another monster. Eartha is 99.9% sure that the leopard was dead. She claims that there is a 0.01% chance that the leopard was pregnant. Ilhan did take a quick glance at the black figure on the screen. He regrets not completing the butchering, but Eartha tells him that it was the greedy people's fault. She didn't expect Ilhan to be affected. She still can't understand him. They then realize why the leopard acted mad, to hide its baby. Eartha also feels at fault for not thinking about the possibilities, especially since the baby got a stealth skill. Nobody noticed it hiding. The people spent too much time arguing while the baby was being born and later attacked the people around it. Ilhan worries, and Eartha confirms that it might be the tertiary class monster she sensed before. Ilhan turns off the TV and plans to prepare. He doesn't plan to lose to another stealth user. Eartha then claims that it is impossible to excel in all stats, so the monster might have weaker defense or strength. Ilhan suddenly remembers getting help and plans to call someone. Eartha stops him so he won't get his identity revealed. Ilhan later uses a public phone and calls Kang Myrae. Ilhan gets embarrassed introducing himself using his nickname. He then tells her about the news that it is a strong monster with stealth skills. Myrae agrees that it is indeed a dangerous situation. The call ends, and Ilhan is impressed by how Myrae caught on to things so quickly. Her connection to the military and government is more impressive. Ilhan then gets ready for their mission. He later prepares the materials he got from the leopard monster. Eartha wonders what Ilhan will make, as she knows that the steel spear is enough. Ilhan tells her to watch, but Eartha gets mad and keeps pulling Ilhan's hair. Ilhan claims that he will make posts. Using the leopard's bones, Ilhan created huge posts. Eartha thought Ilhan was going to make a necklace for a giant, but the satisfied Ilhan tells her that she knows nothing. Eartha gets mad. She thought Ilhan was making spears. However, it is a harpoon. Ilhan tells her that a harpoon can be used to pull the prey back once hit. A harpoon has great penetration, and it is hard to take it out once it is in. Ilhan then makes a rope using the leopard's leather. Eartha asks him if he is using mana when quickly making things. However, Ilhan claims he won't be making weapons if he has mana, and he can just straight up beat up the monster. Ilhan finishes everything, and Eartha finds him evil for using the mother to kill the baby leopard. He then starts to mana craft, and Eartha finds it a waste to use the stones. Ilhan claims that it is for his own survival. He uses the mana craft, and he finishes the hunter's harpoons. Eartha is shocked at how fast Ilhan's mana craft is. It also has more options. It had a high attack power and an increase in critical hits. Eartha's head aches to see the impossible happen. Later, Ilhan contacts Myrae again and reminds her not to be rash. Myrae wonders why it is still in the area, and Ilhan claims that the monster is looking to avenge its mother's death. Myrae asks if Ilhan has plans. Ilhan will make the monster unable to use its stealth skills. Myrae then wishes him luck. Ilhan and Eartha go to the monster area, and Ilhan laughs after sensing the monster being confident with its stealth skills. He pins down posts and makes noise on purpose, but the leopard is not attacking yet. Eartha claims that Ilhan's stealth skill is way superior to the leopard's. It even hides his traps. Eartha applauds how Ilhan is suited to be an assassin. Just then, Ilhan notices something. The leopard appears while it is in stealth. Ilhan then gets ready to move. The leopard growls as it walks around. Ilhan notices that he got a 20% bonus damage from attacking while in stealth and using a spear. He throws the harpoon at the leopard with all his might. The leopard gets hit, and it roars in pain. Ilhan can't believe it is a tertiary class monster despite being half the size of its mother. He had the bonus, but the harpoon was only lodged halfway. Eartha says that the leopard has lower stamina and defense because it only specializes in stealth. The leopard now notices Ilhan and attacks him. Ilhan quickly backs off to dodge. The leopard notices that it can't move further. It is because of the harpoon and pole. The rope is sturdy. Ilhan picks up another harpoon and throws it at the leopard, dealing a critical hit. The leopard fights back, and Ilhan's arm guards break. He backs off and cries over the broken equipment. He instantly recovers after realizing that he can fix it later. Eartha feels annoyed that a stupid-looking arm guard helped. The leopard attacks again, but Ilhan dodges again. Ilhan realizes that it was a skill and gets surprised. Ilhan prepares another set of spears and harpoons. The leopard tries to run away, but the harpoons are lodged tightly in its body. It realizes that pulling out the harpoons is ineffective, so it proceeds to cut the ropes. Eartha tells Ilhan to use the remaining harpoons so it can't get away. Ilhan thought that the monsters were just very strong beasts, but it seems like he will encounter more monsters in the future that goes beyond common sense and logic. Ilhan dodges another long-range attack and throws off another harpoon. The leopard's foot is pinned down, making it unable to attack with its long-range skill. Eartha commends Ilhan's javelin throwing. Ilhan asks Eartha to call him Ishmael, a character from the movie Moby Dick. Eartha tells him not to let his guard down. Just then, Maire's voice resounds in the area, asking if that is their target monster for subjugation. She arrives while riding a military car, and she quickly uses her lightning magic. The leopard gets hit and is paralyzed. Maire steps out of the car and asks Ilhan how he managed to capture the monster. Ilhan also comments that it is not a question that a person who just dropped a bolt of lightning can ask. He realizes that Maire is not a normal hunter. The last attack shows that she is a first-class hunter. However, the leopard gets back on its feet. The two hunters prepare for the second round. Ilhan sets another pole and prepares to throw the harpoon. The leopard tries to move again, but Ilhan throws the harpoon on its other front foot. It roars in pain, and Ilhan tells Maire to attack it whenever she can. Maire can attack with powerful lighting magic, but she needs 2 minutes before she can fire it off. Ilhan then expects Maire to tell him when she will launch the attack. The leopard still tries to get out of the constraints, and Eartha notices that it still has mana. It glares at Ilhan, and Ilhan knows that the leopard is determined to kill him. Ilhan has seen those kinds of eyes before when he was hunting wild animals. It shows their strong desire to survive. The monster gets hit again, and it counters with its long-range skill. It misses, but Ilhan notices how the attack got stronger. Eartha says it is the bleeding buff, mineralization. Maire fires off a lightning attack, but it doesn't reach the leopard. The leopard attacks Maire and her driver, but they dodge. It will be hard for her to attack the leopard in this situation. The leopard roars out loudly as it tries to get away from the harpoons. Ilhan commends its determination to the point that the leopard is fine with ripping its legs apart. Ilhan realizes that they really need Maire's attack. He jumps on the car's roof and asks Maire for a stronger attack. The driver brings out a gun, but Maire wonders if it will be enough. Ilhan claims that this is not the time to think it through. Maire asks if Ilhan knows how to use a gun, and Ilhan claims that he can use most earth weapons. Ilhan moves out with the gun in hand, and Maire can see that he was not lying. Eartha knows Ilhan has hesitated before because the leopard's leather will be messed up. Ilhan doesn't have a choice now because martial arts or spears won't work anymore on the leopard. Just then, the leopard manages to pull out a pole stuck on its foot. Ilhan is amazed at how sturdy the ropes are. Maire watches the scene as she waits for another minute. Anytime soon, the leopard will also uproot the other poles. Ilhan fires a shot and hits the leopard's eye. The leopard bleeds as Ilhan gains maximum level shooting skills. He fires another one, and Maire can't believe a rifle can cause such damage. Eartha also knows that a rifle can't affect a tertiary class monster. However, Ilhan's shooting skill has made the gun powerful. Ilhan continues shooting and shouts for Maire's magic. Maire just needs a few seconds, and she starts counting down. Ilhan lets go of the rifle and grabs a harpoon. The leopard gets out of its constraints and tries to attack Ilhan. Maire finishes counting and lets out stronger lightning magic. The lightning magic hits the leopard, and Maire experiences backlash from using stronger magic. When they thought it worked well, Ilhan noticed that it was not over yet. The leopard uses its stealth skill and disappears from Maire's sight. However, the leopard's stealth skill won't work in front of Stealth King Ilhan. Ilhan jumps on the leopard and stabs its wounded eye with a harpoon. The monster falls and trembles in pain. Maire is amazed that Ilhan can see through stealth. Ilhan brings out the remaining ropes and binds the leopard. He maxed out one of his skills again. Eartha wonders why he has not killed it yet. Ilhan must do something first. Maire arrives, and she is surprised by Ilhan's sudden appearance. He asks to form a party so they can share the experience points from the leopard. Flustered, Maire forms a party with Ilhan. The system confirms the party formation, and Ilhan gets excited. He sees new windows that can check the status of other party members. Maire is confused and acts surprised that Ilhan is acting like it is his first time forming a party. Ilhan gets flustered and makes up a reason. Eartha can only sigh. Ilhan approaches the dying leopard. He bids farewell and kills the leopard. He obtained nearly 3 million experience points and became level 36. Eartha comments on the huge level jump. Ilhan feels nauseous with the sudden surge of the huge number of points. He looks at May, who looks like she got the same nauseous feeling. Eartha tells him that he should have gained more, but there are penalties because of Ilhan's title. Ilhan's headache subsides, and he solemnly approaches the leopard's carcass. He apologizes to the leather for damaging it. Eartha gets creeped out, and Ilhan claims that armor made from a tertiary-class monster is a great item. Nevertheless, he continues to butcher the monster. Just then, he discovers a mana stone in its head. Eartha exclaims how lucky Ilhan is for getting mana stones from both mother and baby leopards. The mana stone is as huge as Ilhan's fist. Ilhan suddenly remembers that a tertiary-class monster's mana stone is one of the requirements for evolving the rest skill. However, he is not the only one who subdued the monster. May claims she got 1.5 billion experience points. The points given are based on the contributions the hunters made to subdue the monster. Ilhan comments on how helpful May was. May is glad, and she asks for his name, or else she will continue calling him his embarrassing nickname. Ilhan immediately tells her his name. May smiles as she tells him to keep the mana stone, and she will only take half of the corpse if Ilhan butchers it. Ilhan wonders if it is fine. May then tells Ilhan that the most important job on Earth right now is that of the butcher artisan. There is no point in killing a monster if you can't process its carcass. May also recognizes Ilhan's unmatched butchering skills in the last monster raid. Ilhan butchers the monster's carcass while May calls for backup. Eartha can see that May has a lot of connections and suggests Ilhan stay on good terms with her. However, it is difficult for Ilhan to get close to someone. It is painful for a loner like Ilhan. Ilhan later finishes butchering the monster. May orders some people to move the processed materials. May thanks Ilhan for getting rid of the monster before it can cause more damage. Ilhan also thanks May for her help. May also retracts her suggestion of forming a party together. Ilhan gets heartbroken. The introvert starts overthinking things and faults that he might have done. May sighs and claims that she is lacking in many ways. Their gap in strength is too large. Ilhan sighs in relief. May swears to get stronger sooner or later, and she will ask Ilhan again to be her partner. Ilhan wants to think about that when the time comes. May finds Ilhan logical and thanks him again. Their party disbands, and Ilhan has mixed feelings about it. May gets called to leave with her men. Just then, she remembers something. May asks Ilhan for his phone number, but Ilhan hesitates to do so. May smiles and promises not to tell anyone about his identity or phone number. The masked man is too stunned to speak. Ilhan wonders if he really can trust May. Recalling things that happened today, Ilhan decided. Ilhan agrees to give her his contact information. He cheerfully types in his number into May's phone. May thanks him again as she leaves. Ilhan can't believe that a woman asked for his number first. Eartha finds Ilhan pathetic. Ilhan gets offended, and the two argue. Ilhan can't believe he got a tertiary-class monster just like that. He menacingly smiles. His only issue now is the troll's blood, which is not on Earth yet. He cries over the fact that he can't go to the other world. Eartha claims that Earth's mana concentration is getting higher. Trolls will appear on Earth soon. Ilhan wonders if the troll's blood has healing abilities because it is related to the rest skill. Eartha confirms, but Ilhan needs poison resistance to use it as is. The next requirement is troublesome. Ilhan needs to kill a sleeping second-class monster in one hit. Ilhan needs to strengthen his weapon. He asks Eartha for materials, but she immediately refuses. Eartha gets mad and claims they already provided him with the tools. He notices that he can still use the harpoons. As he wonders what to do with the muscles and tendons, the eternal flame surprises him and eats them. The tendons suddenly change form, and Ilhan gets excited. He stops the eternal flame and gets the tendon out of the flame. He gets excited over new material. He finds the new material fascinating and calls it the Giant's Rubber Band. Eartha wonders how Ilhan will use it. It is stretchy, durable, fire-resistant, and also resistant to shock and water. He wants to make a bunker with it. Ilhan explains how it looks and works to Eartha. Its attack power will be top tier and fierce. He pours more tendons into the eternal flame. Ilhan menacingly laughs after finding a new source of power. Eartha's head aches seeing the maniac behind her. She can't believe that Ilhan has a lot of ideas. She is now excited about what will be Ilhan's future projects. Ilhan starts drafting his new weapon. He will use the leopard's teeth as bullets. He wants to strengthen it with the mana stone, but Eartha finds it strong enough. Ilhan might need it to fight another tertiary class monster in the future. Ilhan gets worried. Ilhan promises to find a mana stone for the pile bunker. He immediately finishes the pile bunker. He immediately tries it out, but the rubber band is more resistant than expected. He calls his mom as he pulls the rubber band. It took him 2 seconds, longer than he expected, to put it in the first level. He just realized that it is hard to use it in a real scenario. He needs to call for his ancestors instead next time. He tries it out with the powers of his ancestors, but it takes him more time to load the other levels. The pile bunker's stat window appeared, and it had more options. However, Eartha finds it disadvantageous to use. Ilhan plans to use it when he encounters giant monsters. He immediately moves on to making weapons for smaller enemies. Eartha gets mad and tells Ilhan to rest. Time passes and Ilhan manages to create a lot of traps of destruction until his mana craft level reaches 24. He quickly creates one after another, and the angels are impressed by the qualities. Eartha reminds him that he just needs to create less than usual. It is because the ones Ilhan is making now are overflowing. The traps' qualities are getting better with a wider range and might overflow existing traps on Earth. The monsters might leave their current traps and go to the new traps. These might result in new monsters being born that might chew on the traps. Ilhan shivers in fear and doesn't plan to meet another tertiary class monster. He was only able to defeat the Shadow Leopard because of its stealth. He even needed help to defeat it. He can't defeat a 4th class monster by himself right now. Eartha tells them to decrease the traps in the meantime to stop an overflow. Shuda, the white-haired angel, is annoyed that a lot of things are happening on Earth, especially with Ilhan. He tells Eartha to manage Ilhan well. Eartha corrects him, saying that they are not managing Ilhan but helping him. She was never ordered to restrict Ilhan's abilities. Shuda calls her inflexible. Eartha gets pissed off and brings out her sword. She tells Shuda to mind his own business. Shuda looks at the blade with frustration. Ilhan panics because this is the first time he sees Eartha getting mad. The other angels intervene and side with Eartha's statement. They try to calm Eartha down and make claims that Shuda didn't really mean it. Ilhan just realized that angels are not different from humans, despite being higher beings. Eartha can also act like a normal person. The 3 angels leave as they receive the traps of destruction from Ilhan. Ilhan and Eartha watch them leave. Eartha then apologizes for showing a shameful side of herself. However, Ilhan finds it refreshing and interesting to see that angels express their emotions. Eartha claims that angels have long forgotten about petty emotions. Ilhan wonders why Shuda is still like that. Eartha tells Ilhan that it is because he is great. His talents are more than enough to make an angel feel jealous. Ilhan gets surprised at being complimented by Eartha. He gets shy because of how Eartha overestimated him. Eartha just finds Ilhan underestimating himself.